والعاقبة للمتقين والصلاة والسلام على خير خلقه سيدنا وسندنا وحبيبنا وخليلنا محمد صلى الله تبارك وتعالى عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. أما بعد، يقول الله تبارك وتعالى في كتابه العزيز وفرقانه المجيد بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم واستعينوا بالصبر والصلاة وإنها لكبيرة إلا على الخاشعين صدق الله العظيم. وقال حبيبنا محمد صلى الله تبارك وتعالى عليه: أول شيء يرفع من هذه الأمة الخشوع حتى لا ترى فيها خاشعة، أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام: رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي آمين يا رب العالمين. First of all, my dear respected brothers, elders, sisters, and mothers in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has mentioned in one narration, and the narration that I recited, that one of the first deeds that will be lifted from this ummah, one of the first actions that will be taken away from Ummah Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, it is al-khushu'. It is having tranquility, submissiveness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and especially in salat. So much so that the narration has till you will not find anyone that is khashi' lillah, anyone that has khushu' and that submissiveness, that amantu billah in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that whatever is the commandment of the Sharia I will follow. And in salat, that submissiveness is through concentration and being submissive in salat. Ubadah bin Samit radiallahu ta'ala anhu, his student Jubair bin Nufair, he narrates that Ubadah bin Samit radiallahu anhu, he told him, if you want, in shi'ta, I will tell you about the first knowledge that will be taken from the people. The first knowledge that will be lifted from the people towards the end of time. So these are from the signs of Qiyamah. The closer we get to Qiyamah, the more we will witness this. So what was it? He responds and he says that al-khushu', the first thing that will be uplifted from this ummah is al-khushu', having concentration in salat, having submissiveness throughout our life to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and especially in salat, praying salat with concentration. And this is true. How many of us pray salat? Or I should say, how many salats have we prayed? But our khushu' was lacking. Our concentration was lacking. Our mind was elsewhere. We're doing the zahiri actions. We're doing the apparent movements. We're doing our takbirat. We're moving from one to another. We're praying behind the imam, but we have no clue what we're doing in our salat. Till the salam is done, we're like, oh, salat is over. Where was the khushu'? Where was the concentration? Till he says, Ubadah bin Yushik, a time will come that you will enter masjid and you will not find one man with khushu'. Not even one person with the khushu' inside that masjid. That such a time will come. Right? And then if we look, many of us, or maybe I should say some of us, and we know this happens to us, we're so distracted with the dunya, with dunyawi umur, with the worldly matters and affairs, so involved, especially in this zaman, in this world, in this time that we live in. Right? So much distractions. And on top of that, the youth and those that are growing up in this 21st century, the phone has fully taken away their attention. So even before salat, they're on their phone. They're talking to their friend. While they should be preparing for their salat, before salat, they're on their phone. They're watching the video, they're playing the video game. And right after that, they start their salat and their mind is still in that video game. Or their mind is still in that WhatsApp message. Or they're still talking. Or they're still thinking about the last thing that they were doing. So khushu' is such a great quality that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam emphasized. He taught khushu', not just verbally, but practically. The Sahaba Ikram, if you look at the Sahaba, how much khushu they had in their salat. As if they would not be in this world anymore. The moment they would say Allahu Akbar, and they enter salat as if they're not in this world anymore. That's why when you hear the incidents, sometimes like, wow, how is this possible? You hear those incidents, they're praying salat, and then they're stabbed and they don't feel it. Blood is coming out, and they still continue their salat, and afterwards they realize, I've been hurt, I've been injured. Right? You see so much concentration in salat that the birds would sit on the Sahaba Kiram. They were like firm trees, like pegs, mountains, not even shaking. What is khushu'? The ulama explain khushu' is at-tadhallul wal-ikhbat lillahi tabarak wa ta'ala. It is humility. It is khudu'. When a person makes himself humble, that's the meaning of khushu'. When a person lowers himself to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not just in salat, but that's the meaning of khushu', generally khushu'. Our entire life should be full of khushu' and humility, humbleness, not bragging, not with the chest out and thinking we have so much and no one can stop us. This is not khushu', this is not tawadu'. Khushu's meaning is at-tawadu' lillah, wal-ikhbat lillah azza wa jal, wat-tadhallul, lowering yourself to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And in salat, what does khushu' mean? Khushu' in salat is that our heart is mindful in salat. It is concentrating. It feels this awe. It feels this magnificence that I'm standing in front of my Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It feels this. This is the khushu' of the heart. And then what is the khushu' of the outside, our limbs? The ulama have another term for this, the khudu'. When the limbs are still. A person is still in his salat, not scratching, not losing his attention, like not moving too much, not shaking and wiggling in salat, scratching, moving this, the phone starts ringing, and now he's busy putting the phone on silent, and then he's busy fixing his pants in salat, and then he has, he ends up seeing a scratch mark or dirtiness on his clothing, and he starts scratching it off. This is not khudu'. It's not part of khushu'. Khushu' is ultimate attention in salat and being still in salat. This is khushu' and this is khudu'. Now the question is, how do we attain this? The question is, how do we attain this khushu' and khudu' in salat? Well, we have to mentally, physically, spiritually prepare before salat. It doesn't just happen that we just wear our hat and we come to salat and that's it. You have to physically, mentally, spiritually prepare before coming to that salat. The more we do this, the more easier it becomes for us. Right? So at first, we will need to be very cautious of this. That right before salat, 5 to 10 minutes should only be me sitting down and just doing dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And how many of us do that? First of all, we come to salat late. And many of us sometimes we have the habit of delaying salat till its last time, which is incorrect. It is not right to do. It's against the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Rasulullah disliked that people, they delay their salat till the end time. Right when the end time comes, and then Rasulullah says, like the munafiqeen, end time will come, they start pecking. Quick sajda, quick ruku, quick sajda, and finish their salat. First of all, we have to have this concern for our salat. My salat comes first. And I have to do my salat on time. And then 5 to 10 minutes before salat, go do wudu. If you have wudu, do another wudu for more concentration in salat. And then come, sit down, and be still in the salat. Just sit. Take some moments out. Just do some dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Have this spiritual and mental preparation. Let your body calm down. Right? Let your mind empty from the dunya. Too much dunya up there. Too much distraction up here. So much distractions. This issue, that issue, this fighting, this politics, that politics, the World Cup, this cup. So much going on up here. So you clear your mind and you sit down. After when you sit down, you start thinking about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was asked, Ya Rasulullah, give me advice. The Sahabi is asking Rasulullah, give me advice and make it short. Right? So he wanted a more mukhtasar advice, very short advice. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam told this companion, he told him, that salli salata muwaddi'. When you pray salat, the first advice, pray salat of a person who's bidding farewell. Pray salat of a person who's saying farewell. Farewell to what? To this dunya. Think that this might be my last salat. It's not guaranteed that I will survive. I don't even know if I'll live tonight or tomorrow. That's the first advice he gave. The second advice Rasulullah gave this companion was that do not speak, لا تتكلم بشيء تعتذر منه غدا. That do not speak of anything that tomorrow you'll be apologizing for it. Always be careful, but think before you speak. And the third thing was, in this beautiful advice, that وَأَجْمِعِ الْيَأْسِ, and be hopeless from what the people have. Don't pin your hope in what the makhluk have. Oh, he's going to support me, he's going to give me, my boss is going to give me the paycheck, I'm going to survive because of him, I need the degree, I need this. You don't pin your trust in makhluk. You pin your trust in the Khaliq, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These are three. So the first one was, when you pray salat as if this is my last salat. As if you are told you're guaranteed. That's it. This is the final moment of your life. Then imagine our salat. Then imagine our tawbah. Then imagine our ibadat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How much crying we will do in that salat. If someone told you your final salat, that's it. Malakul Maut is waiting behind you. That's it. Once you do your salam, you're done. Imagine that salat that we pray. How much submissiveness, khushu, how much, tranquility we'll have in that salah. Another sahabi comes to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and he tells him, Ya Rasulullah, to give him advice. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that remember death in your salat. So before we start, we think about death. We think about that this might be my final salat. And we mentally prepare that I'm going to stand before my Allah Rabbul Izzat. This moment I'm going to stand before my Allah, my Khaliq, my Malik, the person who has blessed me so much. Even every moment is a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Once you have the spiritual preparation, you tell me you're not going to concentrate in salat? Once you're hyped up, it's like, prep talk before the team goes out to play, and then the coach comes and gives them prep talk, 5-minute talk, and everyone is motivated and they're ready to play basketball and dominate. So before salat, you give yourself that prep talk. And you talk yourself spiritually into the salat. I'm standing in front of my Allah Rabbul Izzat. The Muslim bin Yasar radiallahu anhu, rahimahullah, this great companion, tabi'i, what would he do? He would tell his family, sometimes when we pray salat, what do? We make sure we're in a quiet place, and we should do that because our khushu and our concentration level is very low right now. So we look for quiet places. We tell people to stay quiet or we go to our room. But this great student of Sahabi, this tabi'i, Muslim ibn Yasar, he would tell his family, tahaddathu, speak. But now once I start my salat, فَإِنِّي لَا أَسْمَعُكُمْ, I do not hear you. This much khushu they would have, as if they would enter a whole different world. Like I mentioned, the whole different world. It's just them in that world and their Allah. There's no more makhluk between them. No kids, no family, no spouse, no worry, no gham, no fikr, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's what takbir tahrima means. That is takbir tahrima. When you raise your hand, you're throwing everything behind your back. And you're coming forward to your Allah. It's just you and your Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you're telling Ya Allah, even the halal things, talking, drinking, talking to your friends, excessive movement, all of these jaiz things, you're forbidding it. You're making it haram, tahrima upon yourself. And it's just you and your Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the whole philosophy of takbir tahrima. You raise your hand, throw the entire world behind our back. We don't need this dunya. Ya Allah, it's just me and you and my munajat, my conversation with you. This is the mindset that we need before salat. And I feel like many of us lack this. That's why we don't get concentration in salat. We know we need to concentrate. We start the salat, we're like, why is it not helping? But we're not ready for it. We didn't prepare ourselves for this. So 5-10 minutes. If 10 minutes is too long, 5 minutes. Come, sit down, and start pondering over whatever I just mentioned about death. This is my last salat. Prepare yourself spiritually and mentally before you stand before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One great companion or one great saint of the past, he says, Al-Asam, he narrates that he says when he was asked, he's a great Sufi of the past. What does Sufi mean? Sufi means a great wali of Allah. That's what it means, a friend of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is standing, so students ask him, people ask him, Shaykh, how do you perform salat? Like, what do you do? And these are golden advices, because these men, the awliya of Allah, they reach that level. When you see them pray salat, you're like, subhanallah. We would witness with our own eyes. Don't think awliya don't exist. They still exist till today. You don't know who's a wali. I've seen some of our teachers, Saturdays when there's no one in the madrasa, in the darkness of the masjid, Right? Why am I there? We're there because our friends were studying for exams, etc. You see them in the masjid, you're walking around, it's dark. But then you go and there's a light coming out of someone. And it's like one of our teachers. He's standing and performing salat in his vacation time. Everyone is out. But he's just there after hours. Allah knows best how long he was standing there and praying salat. His ta'alluq with awliya still exists. So we learn from their experience because they're very experienced with their ta'alluq with Allah, with their connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this great sheikh was asked, and he was asked, how do you pray salat? What do you do? He responds, when salat time comes, when I make the intention of praying salat, I first walk and I go, after performing wudu, etc., I go and I sit in that place where I will pray my salat. There's preparation. I sit there and I sit for a while till my body becomes full of sukoon, tama'nina, till my body relaxes. Once my body relaxes, my mind is free, then I stand up. And before I stand up, I envision few things. I think about few things. أنا أجعل الكعبة بين عيني. I place and I envision that the Kaaba is right in front of me. Before I start my salat, that the Kaaba is right in front of me. And those that have been to Umrah or they've been for Hajj, it's a different salat. When did you pray in the Haram? But when did you pray in the Haram in front of the Kaaba? There's a whole different feeling when you have the Kaaba in front of you. So the Shaykh says, first I envision and I place the Kaaba in front of me. The Kaaba is right in front. And I make the sirat, the pole, the bridge that we all will cross to enter Jannah. I make that tahta qadamayya. I envision that the pull, the sirat, the bridge is right below my feet. وَأَجْعَلُ الْجَنَّةَ عَنْ يَمِينِي. And I make Jannah on my right side. I envision that Jannah is here. Kaaba in front of me. The sirat under my feet. وَجَهَنَّمْ عَنْ يَسَارِي. And I envision that Jahannam is to my left side. Jahannam is to my left side. I envision this. After when I envision this, I think of Malakul Maut behind me, wara'i. Once I think of all of this, Kaaba in front of me, I have to concentrate. My Allah is watching. Jannat is on my right side. Jahannam is on my left side. Malakul Maut is behind me. He's chasing after me. And then I pray this salat as if this is my last salat and I want to pass this full salat and I want to enter the Jannat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and meet my Allah azza wa jal. This is how I perform all of my salat. And then I say, Allahu Akbar. After having this envision, after he envisions this, he thinks about this, he is ready. And then the grandeur, the magnificence of Allah comes to his heart. That's when he says, Allahu Akbar, and he enters into his salat. And then he says, in my salat, I read everything clearly. Everything clearly. My ruku is with calmness. My dua in salat is with calmness. My adhkar are with calmness. No quickness. No rush. There's nothing to rush. The ruku is proper. And when my sajda is proper. And this is how I pray my entire salat. Now this is something that we need to adopt as well. The second step would be, when we pray our salat, even though we don't know the translation of the surahs, of the du'as in salat, of the adhkar in salat, but concentration would be that when we finish our salat, we know exactly what we read in our salat. Sometimes we finish the salat with the imam, and salam happens, we're walking out. If someone just asks us a question, what did the imam read in first rakat, in second rakat, we'll have no clue. Even though we read small surahs that we know. This is no concentration. That means our mind was elsewhere. We're standing in salat, but our mind was somewhere else. So concentration in salat is, we know of everything and everything that we're doing in salat. Every step that I'm doing. So if I'm doing my surah Fatiha, I know I'm reading surah Fatiha. I'm done with surah Fatiha, I know I'm reading my surah, next surah, surah Ikhlas, surah Kawthar, whatever I'm reading. And in ruku, I know I'm doing Subhana Rabbi al-Azim. Subhana Rabbi al-Azim. And then when I'm coming up from ruku and I go to sajda, we are cautious of every step that we are doing in salat. What happens when we get doubts in salat? What happens during salat if we get thoughts of worldly thoughts? This is shaitan. Shaitan has long experience. With the scholars, he makes them think about mas'ala. With the qurra, he makes them think about tajweed. With the muftis, he makes them think about fatwa. With the businessmen, he makes them think about business. and starts thinking of ideas so creative that he would never think out of salat. Sometimes in salat, you remember things that you forgot. Like, oh, I read this masala, in salat, shaitan is making you remember everything. Now, what do we do when we think like that? Right? Sometimes it happens. Our mind will go away. We won't get a sin for that. When will our khushu leave? Because it's wajib. It's necessary on us to pray salat with khushu'. We do get a sin if we don't have khushu'. We do get a sin. But when will we get a sin? If we start enjoying that thought. Right? We get the thought of our business, now we start planning it and thinking it. The youngsters get the thought of, being in the World Cup, and they're playing as one of the players, and then they're thinking, oh, they're entertaining it now. Oh, I make this goal, everyone is screaming my praises. This is when khushu' is lost and the person is sinful. But until when these thoughts come, quickly we go back to our salat. We dismiss them right away, Go back into your salat and come get in that concentration zone and think of death and think of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah is in front of me. May Allah Rabbul Izzat give all of us tawfiq to act upon whatever that has been said. Just few announcements before we start the adhan, the khutbah. Tonight, after Isha, we'll have one great Qari Bashir, who is at the age of 90 years old. He's a senior alim and a Qari of Madinatul Munawwara. He'll be visiting Masjid Hamza today, inshallah, after Isha. So all the brothers are requested to participate. And before I say the other announcements, just quickly I want to request all the brothers if they can please stand, make some space. There's raining outside. I don't think the brothers can pray outside. So please move forward. Give a lot of space as you can. Just move forward. Stand up, everyone. And sit in tashahhud position. Make some space for the brothers in the back. Please make some space for them. Okay. Second announcement, there's a lost wallet. If any brother lost their wallet, they can go to the office and collect that wallet. If anyone lost their wallet, they can collect that. The third announcement, tomorrow after Isha, there will be Shamal Tirmidhi program with Imam Maulana Kashif Saab. And then the final announcement, the annual general body meeting is this Sunday, December 18th, after Dhuhr, and membership drive is going on as well. And this will end December 31st is the deadline for the membership drive. So these are the announcements. Once again, all the brothers are requested to make a lot of space. It's raining outside. I don't think they'll be able to pray in the rain. It's pretty cold also. So make some space, inshallah. إذا قيل لكم تفسحوا في المجالس فافسحوا يفسح الله لكم. When you're told to make space in the gatherings, make space. Allah will make space for you, inshallah. So give the space, inshallah. Take care.